Hi everybody, welcome back to Bad Lip Service. Proof that lip syncing should be left to the professionals and not those just in need of professional help.
Girl, you know it's true.
There are points in everyone's lifetime where it's prudent to reflect on the past in order to improve oneself in the present. Prominent examples include, maybe I really was the arsehole back then.
Well, duh.
Why the fuck did I think that haircut was a good idea? And one of my current regular ponderances, and the core theme of this video, is music getting worse or am I just getting old?
Because you're so old and...
Now, first of all, I should address that this is unlikely to be a well-constructed thought process. After all, I'm aiming to bring together my belligerence on the matter with my self-deprecation on the matter and some serious, albeit probably incorrect logic on the matter.
Your logic is flawed.
Regarding the question itself, I feel it's a good idea to provide a framework from which to work from. I entered my 30s this year and I am very aware that in the grand scheme of things, that is not old.
Are you sure about that?
However, for obvious reasons, I've always felt older than I am, and so a degree of this is basically just an excuse for me to publicise the fact that I'm liable to be having a very early midlife crisis at some point soon. As for my music taste, I was brought up listening to my parents' music, which was a primarily rock-influenced mix of the 70s to the 90s, mixed in with some soul and the odd bit of cheesy pop.
Cheese.
The societal influences of the time gave me Britpop and 90s pop, whilst my teenage years saw me veer first into indie rock and then into pop punk, while still picking up the odd bit of chart fodder here and there. Then we reached the 2010s, and of course now we're into the 20s, and of course I exaggerate for effect to a certain extent. There are a number of new bands who I find every year whose songs I appreciate. Indeed, every year for Christmas I make my mum a compilation CD of music I found recently, which I think she'll like when she's driving around.
I've been driving in my car.
This is a tradition. What is also a tradition is that to make sure I've got the balance right, that I haven't fucked up the editing, and that the CD works, I give it to my dad in advance to take out in his car.
It's not quite a Jaguar.
There is now a third tradition, a newer tradition, which honestly I'm not sure I appreciate. You're going to have to give me a moment to compose myself, as I find this hard to say. Okay. Every year, my dad now takes it upon himself to go, yeah, I liked it. There's a lot of 80s influences in that lot, aren't there? The horror! Here I am, trying to give my dearest mama something new to listen to, and all I'm basically doing is taking her back to her youth. And to before I was even born. It was after the third year in a row of my dad saying this that finally I concluded I may just not be down with new music. Indeed, the fact I've had to put down in quotation marks probably means I'm not really down with anything.
How do you do, fellow kids?
This is one reason the question has been on my mind. I could give you another two. I was, for about a year, competing in a song contest on a website I frequent, running weekly and designed to put new music into the ether. For the entirety of that year, I had 2 occasions where there were more songs that I was able to tolerate than there were songs that made me think that driving a screwdriver straight through my eardrum wouldn't be preferable. And other people loved those songs. They went crazy for them. Well, I mean, so did I, but in a very different way.
I'm going slightly mad.
Also, about 7 months ago, I went through the current top 40 chart to find out which songs I'd heard, how many of those I liked, and then I went through the ones I didn't know to see which ones I'd liked when I gave them half a chance.
Everyone's a stranger till you give them a chance, man.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I knew
Drum roll, please.
8 songs. I liked one song. Of the remaining 32 I listened to, I couldn't finish half of them, and of the ones I gave full attention to, I liked 2. That's 3 out of 40 of the most popular current songs in the country that I would quite happily listen to again.
But I can't help it that I'm popular.
So, with the examples provided, you may now be reaching your own conclusions, but I will now attempt to answer my own question. And in keeping with the traditional style of answering questions in the current climate, I will probably fail and merely try to make myself sound better.
I love that word, don't you? Me.
First of all, I will make the boring but obvious point which many people I know will already be making. Music is subjective. There are 70-year-olds who enjoy gangster rap as much as there are 10-year-olds enjoying opera. To merely attribute age with an idea of what we should be listening to is stupid. Excellent. Case closed. Now, I've done the boring bit. It's time for a big, pseudoscientific and over-exaggerated but. We as humans appear to be creatures of habit. We may bend habits, we may break habits, but some things just become intrinsic to us. The same smells of my mum's cooking which made it feel like home when I was 7 do the same now. That smell of burning, followed by the wail of the smoke alarm. No, I'm joking. My mum is a good cook, and I'm hoping she keeps watching, otherwise I'm in trouble now.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
The shows I watched as a kid, while obviously not suited for someone of my age now, I still occasionally search on YouTube just for a 15-minute idle trickle into nostalgia. It makes sense that what we grew to appreciate in our formative years becomes the blueprint for what we enjoy in our not-so-formative years. There is nothing wrong with being a creature of habit. There's nothing wrong with finding comfort in certain sounds. But the flip side is, once we hit that point, we kind of have to accept that we're getting old. If the blind, careless willingness to listen to whatever, and if we like it, great, and if we don't, great, is gone, then we have, if not become old, at least aged. I know, depressing, isn't it?
I think you ought to know I'm feeling very depressed.
Unless, of course, you're still in that phase, in which case, and I mean this sincerely, you utter bastard.
You bastard!
But does that mean music definitely isn't shit? Well, to some extent, no, because of the whole subjectivity, blah, blah, blah. But what I and several of the people watching this will want to hear is, yes, it fucking is.
The planet's on fucking fire.
There is absolutely zero doubt in my mind that more than ever before, independent music cannot cope with the big bucks and the marketing agencies belonging to the pimps of the musical prostitutes in the industry.
Boo, you whore.
I'm not going to name any of them, you all have an image in your mind, and you're probably right. It allows music created by statistics and data to grip onto the mass market like never before. And if you like it, that's fine.
This is fine.
There has always been a degree of it. It's nothing new. I'm not claiming otherwise. But the prevalence is enormous. I feel comfortable saying it because I know I would have been feeling similarly about the majority output of, for example, Stock Aitken and Waterman in the 80s.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down.
Yes, a little pinch of it can be a noise to be amiable to. But it's like biscuits. If you eat one biscuit, you'll likely enjoy it. 2 biscuits, you'll probably still be content. If your entire diet is biscuits, you may end up with diabetes.
Diabetes.
That's what the charts feel like to me now. They are musical diabetes. There, I said it, and no fucks were given. So, what do I conclude? Is music getting worse? Yes and no. Am I getting old? Yes and no. Have I in fact achieved what I set out to, which was to create a contemporary political argument whereby I managed to say something whilst also enjoying which also saying the third power of fuck all at the same time. Yes and no.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
If you're feeling like you enjoyed this, my condolences. If you're feeling like you didn't, then just feel safe in knowing that it could be worse, and you could have been listening to... For now, he's been Z, and he's been Nathan from that gif on Twitter of someone leaping about like a loon after winning a load of money on the chase. And we've been Bad Lip Service.
Ciao, adios, I'm done.